with all of you this morning.
Yeah.
If you're joining us this morning, as it has already been stated, you are joining us for the end of our teen event, which was entitled Stranger Teens. And guys, it was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
And real quick, I just want to thank all the people that came out to help. I want to thank Gio Morales, Ernesto Morales, Chris Kashaka, and just all the people that came out. I feel like I'm missing someone. But Brian OG, and of course I want to thank my incredible wife, Taylor Mogollon. Guys, this week was so busy. And yet, I really couldn't have done it without any of you guys.
Yeah.
And most of all, it's just incredible to see the way that we're able to impact the team's life.
Yeah.
And, we chose the theme of Stranger Things, right? One, because Stranger Things is awesome. I think we could all be in one accord with that.
Yeah.
But, the main characters are the teens themselves, and it takes place in the summer, so we thought it fit. But as well, John 17:16 says we are not of this world.
Yeah.
God calls us to be strange in the eyes of the world, so that we can be righteous in the eyes of the Lord. But to be honest, when I'm with the teen ministry, I'm only 28 years old, so I'm not old by any means, but I can feel old sometimes, guys. A lot of times, it can feel like they're speaking different languages, because every other word is like a reference to a meme. And if you don't have like 10 social apps that they have, you're not gonna understand it. You need TikTok, you need Instagram, you need Twitter, you need all of this just to understand the language. So I can feel old sometimes. And hanging out with them can feel like, if you guys have seen the show, Stranger Things, there's what's called the upside down. And that's what it can feel like with the teens sometimes. Like I'm in a different dimension. And in the show, the teens, they're being attacked by these monsters from different dimensions, And so they team up with this girl named Eleven, who like Ryan said, has superpowers to or has telekinesis powers to be able to overcome these monsters, And in the same way, our teens are constantly being attacked by creatures from another dimension.
Wow.
In their schools, they're attacked, they're pressured into doing drugs, having sex, into, being rebellious. And our teens face these pressures every single day. They are being attacked on a daily basis. And for adults, it can be hard for us to relate to teens because, we just have, we just know what we experience more. We have higher emotional intelligence. But it should be easier for us to relate to them than the teens for the teens to relate to us. Right? Because we've been through it. But we can so easily forget what it's like to be a teenager. And we gotta be able and willing to really just have a lot of compassion and just have a heart for the teen ministry.
Yeah, come on, bro.
It takes us getting out of our comfortable zone and being in a strange area, right? And so that's why I called my lesson today, A Stranger Way of Life.
Come on, Hector.
And so my first point is a stranger kind of trust. Go ahead and open up your Bibles to Luke chapter 5.
Come on, Hector.
So what do I mean by a stranger way of life? Well, although we live in the world, as disciples, as Christians, we're not to be a part of the world. We're not to live the way the world lives, right? We're not to live by the rules of the world, but by the rules of heaven, by the kingdom of God. And one of the rules of the world is that trust must be earned, right? Or you must see it to believe it. And yet, what we're going to see here in the scripture is that God calls us to something different. He calls us to a different standard of trust. And many of us, we grew up thinking that way. That, hey, I won't believe it till I see it. And when God calls us to challenge things, we can have that mentality. But here in Luke chapter 5, verse 1, let's read. It says, one day, as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret, the people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in to the other boat and came to help them. And they came and filled both boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so were James and John and the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. Yeah. It's an amazing scripture right here, guys. Wow. You know, here Jesus, he goes out, he preaches the word to the crowds, right? And afterwards, you know, Jesus, the carpenter, tells Simon Peter and the fishermen to go out fishing and tells them what to do, right? And they just, and their heart, you know, I'm sure their hearts were softened after hearing Jesus preach. Yeah. But their hearts were to go out and be like, you know, we tried this all night and didn't catch anything. But because you say so. Yeah. See, that was their level of trust. Wow. That just because Jesus said it, they believed it. Wow. And they trusted in it. You know, this right here reminds me of when I was a teen. You know? And for me, I was the kind of teen that, you know, when my mom told me to do something, I had to know why. Like, why? Yeah. You know? Or I would ask for permission, right? And if I didn't get what I wanted, I'd be like, why not? Right? And at first, my mom was merciful. She should try to explain it to me, right? And then, you know, it wasn't just enough that I wanted to know why. Then I would try to find my own solution to get what I wanted. Without considering anyone else, without considering any religion, I'd be like, well, what if this person drops me off, and then this person gets up really early in the morning just to pick me up, and I try to get my way no matter what, you know? And then my mom, you know, eventually she got tired, and she's like, you know what, Hector, you can't do it because I said so. And that was like, for me, like that would just, I would hate that. That was like the worst thing for me to hear. And I would get so mad and I would start arguing with her, but I'm like, but that's a dumb reason. I don't understand that reason. And yet, you know, as adults, we can have that attitude towards God. Wow. You know, God calls us to something. God challenges us in areas of our life. You know, and God's merciful and He tells us why through the scriptures. Yeah. And yet we still try to like argue with Him. We still try to have it our way. And yet God is like, just do it because I said so. Just do it and see what will happen. We have to have the heart of the fishermen. That Peter went, he's like, Jesus, because you said so. And God opened the floodgates. They were able to catch so much fish that it didn't fit into the boats. You know, parents, I have a question for you. Do you trust your teens? Do you trust God with your teens? You know, a big challenge I think with parents comes is, you know, it's natural for parents to want to protect their kids, you know? Yeah. But a lot of times, it can get to the point where we protect them from God trying to work in their lives. Wow. I appreciate what Aiden shared. God had to humble him at 13 years old. Wow. But Aiden's heart was to, you know what, I need to seek after God. Yeah. And I think one way that parents a lot of times can try to protect their teens is, you know, we try to go by the standards of the world when it comes to where to live and where our kids should go to school. And they try to protect them, like, no, like my kid needs to go here because the school was going to help him be successful. The area that having a big house is what's going to help them be successful. And then realizing that more than that is putting the kingdom first. Like, if you want, parents, if you want your teens, if you want your kids to put the kingdom first, they got to see it from you. They got to see your example of putting the kingdom first.
Yep.
Why? Because they learn more from what you do than what you tell them. And if you're not putting the kingdom first, how can you expect them to put the kingdom first?
Come on, Hector.
You know? And I think a great example of this is the Moraleses and the Hernandezes.
Yeah.
You know, and I really appreciate, you know, the Moraleses is they're willing to trust they're willing to trust God, and you can see that their priority is always God first, even before their kids. And because of that, their kids are both disciples.
Yeah.
I think about the Hernandezes who had to make that hard decision to move out here from Houston. And they had to leave everything. Jay left his business. But what was even harder for them was having their kids leave their school. You know? And that was hard for their kids. And yet they made a decision to put God first. To put the kingdom first. And as parents, I want to challenge you to trust God. It is hard. It is difficult. But what happens a lot of times is when you choose to go by the standards of the world, a lot of times parents think about having the big house, so they move far away because it's cheaper. And yet it doesn't allow for the kingdom to really it's hard for their kingdom to embrace their kids because they're so far away. You know, with the Morales kids, the kingdom's always around them. Because they're in the center. Like, there's people over the house all the time. And it makes it easier for the kingdom to really embrace them. And to really be around them. And a lot of times, the reason or the mentality could be, we can go by the standard of the world and say, well, the world says you need a really big house. You need a really good school. And yet, what we see in the scriptures is, do it because God says, and God has incredible blessings, not just for you, but for your kids. And it's not something that, you know, it's something that I've seen works. When the teens are able to have the kingdom around them, the kingdom's able to embrace them easier. And they feel the love of the disciples, and they want to study the Bible. But it takes a lot of trust. You know, it's a kind of trust that's strange to the world. The world is going to tell you something different. And yet, for us, we are to live as strangers to the world.
Come on, Hector.
You know, my second point for you is a stranger kind of purpose. A stranger purpose. Let's turn up our Bibles to Luke chapter 22.
Come on, bro. Come on, Hector.
You know, high school for a lot of teens is a time for them to try to figure out what they're going to do with their life, you know? A lot of them are looking to colleges. A lot of them are looking to, you know, what college, but then what do they want to major? And it can feel like a lot of pressure, like, what am I going to do with my future? You know?
Yeah.
And in the world, you know, the purpose of the people in the world is to get a good job, make a lot of money, right? And it's about how much they can accumulate for themselves. They want to be greater than everyone else around them. And the way to do so is by to show it by how much money you have, how much you own, how much clout you have. And yet, in the Word of God, greatness is defined as something different. You know, in Luke chapter 22, verse 24, the Bible reads, "A dispute arose among them as to which of them was considered to be the greatest. Jesus said to them, the kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who exercise authority over them call themselves benefactors. But you are not to be like that. Instead, the greatest among you should be like the youngest, and the one who rules like the one who serves. For who is greatest? The one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who is at the table? But I am among you as one who serves. You are those who have stood by me in my trials." So here Jesus, you know, he's turning the definition of greatness upside down, right? And he's saying, hey, greatness is not defined by how much you own. by how much people admire you. Greatness is defined by how much you serve. You know? And as disciples, this needs to be a heart. You know, as disciples, we understand that, hey, our purpose is to make disciples. But in order to make disciples, we need to serve. See, and so if serving is a part of making disciples, as disciples, our purpose is to serve others. You know, not only that, God calls us to be great. You know, God did not call us to a life of mediocrity. God calls us to do great things. God wants every single one of us to be great. And here's the cool part. Every single one of you can be great. And you know, one of my favorite quotes is by Martin Luther King. And he says, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love.
Come on, Hector.
Guys, every single one of us can be defined by our servitude. And I want to challenge us, you know, is that our heart? Do we have the heart to want to serve others? To want to serve the people we're studying with? To want to serve for the adults? Do we have the heart to want to serve the teen ministry? Guys, it was a lot of fun yesterday.
Yes, it was.
But it was also a lot of work. And I appreciate the teens. You know, they're hard to want to serve yesterday at Adventures with Miss Julie. And it was awesome. We got to serve there. And what it is, it's a therapeutic, what they do is, it's therapeutic, what's that word? Like counseling with the horses. And it's all nonprofit. So we got to go over there. Teens got to go over there and help. You know, they got to paint, they got to mow the grass, they got to do a lot of things to help and serve. And what I really appreciate is none one of them complained. And I thought that was probably my favorite part. That was great because just to see their heart to really want to serve. And as well as just to see their heart to serve and to really just give their hearts. And I think that's what needs to define our team ministry as well, is having a serving heart. You know, and so we got to work hard there, and we got to play hard afterwards in the lane. But it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to put these things on and to really serve our team ministry. And so for us, as the disciples, as the adults, are we willing to put in the work to serve our team ministry so that they can become disciples? And that leads me to my third and final point.
Come on, bro.
Which is a stranger kind of love. Or a stranger love. And let's turn our Bibles to John chapter 13. In John chapter 13, in verse 34, we'll see here not the world's definition of love, but God's. In verse 34, the Bible reads, "A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Simon Peter asked him, or we'll stop there. So here, Jesus gives us a new definition of love. And it's not new in the sense of love one another. The Bible has always called us to love.
Yeah.
But it's new in the sense that it calls us to love the way that Jesus loved.
Right.
You know? And this reminds me of, in the show Stranger Things, a scene in the show where there's one of the kids, his name is Lucas. And they're holed up in the supermarket, and they're trying to like get supplies to fight the main villain, the main monster of the series, right? And they're right there, and they're trying to like prep, and he's drinking from a can of Coke. And for those of you who don't know, in the 80s, Coke came out with a new Coke, right? And it was the better Coke. And so Lucas is there drinking from the new better Coke, and everyone's there debating. It's like, why are you drinking that? Because everyone liked the old Coke. You know, everyone liked the old way was made. And he's like, and they're here debating about the flavor of the coconut. And that's what it reminds me of when I think of God. Jesus is calling us to a new way of life.
Yeah.
A new way of love. A way of love that's strange to the world. And when I think about loving the way that Jesus loved, I think about loving through humility. Guys, for me, I don't know, for those of you who remember, I gave communion a few weeks ago. And for me, I really want to go after loving, right? Learning how to love deeper. And what I've been realizing is that loving people takes a lot of humility. For those of you who are married, when your spouse says something that you don't really particularly like, or they do something that can maybe, frustrate you, it takes a lot of humility, it takes a lot of love not to respond in the way that you may want to naturally respond. For those who have roommates, disciples who are in households, when your roommate does something that you don't particularly like, it takes a lot of humility to not be passive aggressive. Amen? Amen. To be willing to talk about it. It takes a lot of love and a lot of humility when there's conflicts in households. With parents, when your teen doesn't obey you the first time, it takes a lot of humility to not respond in the way you want to respond. For teens, when your parents tell you to do something, and you're in the middle of your game right there,
Fortnite.
and you want to get first place in Fortnite,
You can't pause it.
And even if you may have to take that out. Pause the game right away. A lot of times teens, try to be like, well, let me just finish this game. But it takes a lot of humility to be like, you know what, I'm just going to take this out, I'm just going to do it right away. Hey guys, teens, your parents would appreciate that so much. When you obey them and you love them more than you love that video game, amen? That's what love is. Love takes a lot of humility. It takes a lot of humility to go up to someone and talk to them when they've hurt you. Right? Because it's kind of like, it can be hard. It's like almost humiliating to say, because a lot of times, if we're honest, we're very sensitive. Trust me guys, I learned how sensitive I was when I got married. I'm super sensitive. It's not even like, my wife can do something, it's not even something big. And I'm like, oh, she hurt me. Did she not understand? Yeah. It's like, oh, she didn't say hi the way I wanted. I'm like, wow, I'm so sensitive. Nothing that bothered me before I got married. But it takes a lot of humility to admit that those things hurt you. It takes a lot of humility that when someone has that humility to come up to you and talk to you, it takes a lot of humility to say, you know what, I'm sorry. I didn't do it intentionally. It wasn't like I did